Very pleased to have with us on the program right now, U.S. Senator Steve Daines, Republican from Montana. Senator, thank you for your time, sir.
Pleasure to be on with you.
It's good talking with you. You and your colleague, Duncan Hunter from California over on the House side, have introduced the Securing Military Personnel Response Firearm Initiative Act, the Semper-Fi Act. What can you tell us about this legislation, Senator?
Well, we saw the tragedy unfold a week ago today in Chattanooga. This was not a random act of violence. These members of the U.S. military were targeted because of the uniform they were wearing. As we all know, they're individuals, they're jihadist Islamic radicals running around our country and around the world that seek to harm members of the U.S. military as well as the rest of us. And the irony behind this, the tragedy behind this, compounding it, is that some of these service members, there were 4 Marines and 1 Navy sailor, who were killed a week ago today in Chattanooga, were serving in Iraq and Afghanistan in the past. So here they are on foreign soil with the ability to protect and defend themselves with a firearm, and yet when they came back to the United States of America, we call them the armed forces. These were the unarmed forces of America, not allowed by law to carry a firearm at a recruiting station. And so they were not able to defend themselves. We must make sure that we place the safety of our men and women who wear the uniform as a highest priority. And as we all know, those of us who believe strongly in the Second Amendment, the fastest way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. These good guys need to be armed. That's what my bill does, working with Duncan Hunter there in the House.
Talking with U.S. Senator Steve Daines of Montana. And, Senator, there have been news reports that perhaps as many as 2 individuals, one who was among those killed and one who survived this attack, did have their own personal firearms on their person. That would have been apparently in violation of this policy. But does that indicate that perhaps those who are serving in recruiting centers already see that policy as untenable and dangerous?
Well, ask any mom or dad who have sons or daughters serving the U.S. military today, and ask them, are you a little bit nervous, are you frightened right now when they're on our soil, when they're not able to arm themselves? And they'll tell you they are. And so this is common sense. This is a way, number one, to deter acts like this in the future. Had that jihadist known that he was walking into a recruiting center with 4 U.S. Marines carrying sidearms, I think this guy might have thought twice about it. I'll tell you what, he would not have gotten off nearly as many shots, and he would have been killed much, much more quickly. And that's the reality where we're at today in our country as we are at war in this post 9/11 world that we have. And let's allow the men and women who wear the uniform to have really the same right that we have as private citizens with a concealed carry, as one, as a deterrent, and number 2, then certainly to protect and defend themselves if they're fired upon.
Senator, what kind of response has your legislation received in the Senate to date?
Well, we're getting good support. We're continuing to talk to other members. Was pleased. Ryan Zinke on the House side, who is a Navy SEAL, Team 6. Ryan and I both represent Montana. Ryan on the congressional side, I'm on the Senate side. We're hoping we can get some bipartisan support here to get some Democrats to join us. And this is not some kind of reactionary, knee-jerk reaction. This is going back and addressing a regulation, a law that Bill Clinton put in place back in 1992. It's time to update the laws for the world we live in today and allow the men and women who wear the uniform to have a firearm if they choose. And we do not want to be heavy-handed here in the federal government. I am one who is very nervous and concerned about anything that comes out of D.C. relating to regulation. This is one we want to make sure that the local military officials can decide how they want to best utilize a firearm in a recruiting center. But let's let the military men and women on the ground determine how they want to implement this. But as it's currently written, they cannot carry a firearm. I think that's immoral.
The Senate Armed Services Committee yesterday, speaking with Senator Mark Milley, who was slated to be the next Army Chief of Staff, and he did say, I think under certain conditions on both military installations and recruiting stations, we should seriously consider it. In some cases, I think it's appropriate, he said, talking again about arming individuals who would be stationed at these facilities. So it does appear as if this is getting some consideration within the military itself.
Yeah, well, the fastest way to get to the goal here is because of the glacial speed that Congress operates at, is to keep putting pressure on the DOD and the president to make this change. That's the fastest way to the goal. Now, I don't think the president's going to step in and do this. That's why we've got to move forward legislatively. But I was encouraged by the same testimony that you heard yesterday, and that is why, again, we want to make sure we are thoughtful, we are deliberate. We want to make sure that we have men and women who are trained. Now, of course, a Marine, a sailor, a soldier, they're going to be trained in the use of firearms. But we want to make sure that this is done in a way that improves the safety of these facilities. But I'll tell you what, you put a gun-free zone sticker on a recruiting center and put men and women wearing the uniform there in that building, we are inviting jihadists and others who seek to harm us to do that and carry out their acts. So I think it's not only, again, a deterrent, but again, if we have a jihadist that tries to do this again, I think the firefight will be pretty short.
Senator, you talked about the glacial pace of Congress. Is it your opinion that even in instances like this, it's kind of hard to light that fire there in Congress to get bills moving quickly?
Well, I tell you what would help. It still takes too long. It does. And there's a myriad of issues that we're dealing with up on the Hill. It's the Iran deal. It's a highway bill. There's a number of pieces of legislation that are floating around at the moment. And so it's important, though, that we take care of business of protecting the men and women who wear the uniform. And one thing that would help is for those who care about the U.S. military, who care about the Second Amendment, to be writing in, emailing, tweeting, saying, get behind this bill. Let's get it done. It's Senate Bill 1819. It's pretty easy to remember. Senate Bill 1819. And the hashtag is Semper Fi. If they're tweeting about it, it's hashtag Semper Fi. I'm the son of a Marine. That's why we call this a Semper Fi bill, in honor of those 4 Marines that lost their lives a week ago today.
Well, Senator, listen, I appreciate your efforts, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is a pleasure and a privilege, and hopefully you can do this again very soon.
Thank you for all you do fighting for the cause. It's much appreciated.
Thank you, sir. U.S. Senator Steve Daines, Republican from Montana, joining us on the program.